Dear Diary, it's been a hot minute, hasn't it? Sorry about that. I just felt like I didn't have much to write lately, but oh boy, now I sure do. Where do I begin? Well, let's see. Surrounded by the lavish greenery of the Heart Wild lies a town named Thornhaven, where Cinnabar brought me to start putting all the training he's given me to the test. Thornhaven is rich with historia. Its predominantly stone structures tower nearly as high as the ancient trees in the wilds. Every crack and crevice of this aged masonry is painted with mosses, vines, and other aspects of nature's divines, as this is a place that takes pride in its horticulture. Thornhaven boasts a growing population, averaging out to 1,000, but is expected to rise another 30%. Supposedly, this once docile location used to be the ideal of calm serenity, but darkness has been afoot. As monsters have magnified, people have gone missing, and some fabled blight is slowly and unceremoniously leeching the life out of the forests. And yet, rather than send people fleeing in fear of these clear omens, no, instead they flock here. Why, you might ask? Well, darling, why else? Gold and glory. Myself, however, I just needed to get my blood pumping some more before I finally kicked the bucket. And what better place to do that than Cinnabar's hometown, with a competitive boom of medicinal herbalists, arcane specialists, and your everyday hungry adventurers like myself. And where else do adventurers tend to clamour when off-duty other than the Tiger Lily Tavern? I couldn't tell you. But according to my dear friend Cinnabar, the punch-your-face Cinna whiskey, there is a real nosebleeder. I suppose the sanitarium and prestigious alchemy school are also hot attractions here. But me, I'm wise enough to be done with academia, and despite my age, I have managed to not be involuntarily committed, and I plan to keep it that way, all right? If I start babbling nonsense, just put me down as swift as one can, a feisty old lady with a wagon. Anywho, where was I? Oh, right. It's been 44 kind of boring days since Cinnabar left for the woods with some other wizard fellow to investigate the corruption in the woods. I love Cinnabar, but my God, his messages are utter shit. He keeps telling me about some palace with bipolar people and telling me to stay vigilant, for fuck's sake. How much more vigilant can I be? There's nothing to do here but experiment with plants, drink, and watch his friend's strange elven son go on and on about books. The young man insists that he keeps his real name private, and that I should just call him Anon. But he owns this private library here, right? Like I could just simply look his name up in the registry if I wanted to. But luckily for him, I don't give enough of a crap to do so. Whatever makes him happy and feels safe. I'll respect that, I guess. The youth are so damn weird with their identities, though. He seems a bit old to having a don't label me stage, but whatever. Turns out he and I were given some conflicting information, though. Cinnabar told me to watch out for Mr. Anon, as he can be miraculously brilliant or strangely depending on the weather. But supposedly the man's father told him to watch out for me because I'm old and frail. Oh boy. I can't wait to show that man what frail really means when I see him again. Anyway, Anon is a nice and funny enough gent. I do like this sense of randomness I get from him, as it keeps me on my toes. And those little piggies certainly don't get enough circulation at my age. So I appreciate this fellow who seemed desperate to get out of his private library and do something different, which is an important detail to note. It's relevant later. But before that, let me move on to the other gent I've become acquainted with here. This very warm-natured dwarf named Maverick. He hangs out at Anon's library quite a bit. He actually built it. He's a skilled mason that's been living here a good while. A bit of a shy guy, but otherwise a genuinely kind blue-collar fellow that takes pride in his handiwork. His demeanour betrays his strength, though. When an apprentice mason didn't measure correctly for building safety, he knocked the structure down with a single punch to demonstrate its novice quality and then rebuilt it himself the same day. Okay, so he's even mannered with flash super strength. Pretty resourceful if you ask me. But what's the catch, you ask? Well, Maverick has a spazzy asshole cat named Shadow. Now, don't get me wrong, I do like animals. I can even talk to small animals, and for a long time in my life, that was the only way I had friends when I was young. But I feel like this feline in particular can understand what people are saying. It specifically seems to enjoy taunting me for some fucking bizarre reason, often spreading its hind legs out in front of me like a late autumn served turkey, and then proceeds to lick its asshole every time I go to eat. Why? Just why? Shadow is cute. I just wished she had better manners. Maybe I can learn a few recipes for cat treats and train it to be more civilized. Nonetheless, it's been mostly enjoyable getting acquainted with these two young'uns. Yet, I still yearn for adventure and didn't expect Cinnabar to be gone this long. I don't know how much time I have left, and I'd like to experience something big before I plop, you know? Well, it turns out I got my wish, but a corrupted version. And like most bad things, it arrived in the form of a man. Our little trio was out catching a drink at the Tiger Lily Tavern when this unfamiliar purple tiefling fellow comes waltzing in like he fucking owns the place. I don't know why he bothered showing up to a tavern. He was already carrying a bottle of whiskey in his friggin' tail. And can I vent a moment? Of course I can. It's my fucking diary. Listen, I had to buy a whole separate wagon to carry my shit around. And this random fucker gets to have a functioning alcoholic tale. Dear gods, in my next life, please give me one of those. Thank you, amen, glory be. Yatta yatta. Anywho, back to the prick. He jaunts up to some other table of adventurers, inviting them to a game of cards, but gets shut down like a nerd on prom night and sulks at the bar alone for a second before I take pity on his poor soul. Side note, big fucking mistake. And I invite the poor tiefling fellow to sit and drink with us. He looked new in town, like a hapless puppy that needed a home, you know. Well, some puppies have worms, and this one had brain worms. In my opinion, anyway. And I am a cleric, so I'd say that's case closed. He introduces himself as Ned. At first I thought this was cute, because, well, I'm Nev. Nev and Ned has a nice ring to it, you know. Well, fucking Ned doesn't take too long to casually pitch this idea, that we should stalk the people that rejected him outside of the bar. But to his credit, at least he bought us another round of drinks first, before revealing he's a bit cuckoo. Now my first thought was, no, this dude here may have escaped the sanitarium. But fucking Anon and Maverick tilted their heads in interest like seagulls spotting a sandwich on the beach. Maybe I'm not giving them enough credit. Maybe they got hit by a charm spell and I didn't see it. Wait a minute, I didn't think of that until now. Shit. Well, anyway. Once Mr. Ned advertised this supposed rare magical book in his wares called Somatia Logica, which, by the way, in an alternate universe called fucking Earth, is a town named after a very minor Greek myth figure who was born under another Greek myth figure named Lycaon, who is a prince, king, wolf, or basic bitch, depending on which version of Greek mythos you're reading. Is this really the kind of book Anon needs or wants? Doubt it, but time will tell. But this book is what sent us all on a journey, I guess, as Anon became a captured audience, and Maverick gave me puppy dog eyes, wanting me to join them in some potentially illegal-sounding spy mission with a stalking swindler. That very swindler, by the way, also lied about his name. I caught him red-handed, well, purple-handed, whatever. His name is not Ned. It's Morehouse, not to be mixed up with Whorehouse. Although we all got fucked either way in the end. So I guess the distinction doesn't matter now, does it? While Maverick and Anon helped Morehouse scout the second-story window of the people we stalked, I took a roundabout stroll and harvested some lovely tuber potatoes, sweet onions and parsnips big enough to crack a skull. First and foremost, I'm a baker, but one should never underestimate a Granny Savoury specials either. Once the three musketeers finished spying, they agreed to meet up in 6 hours to follow these people outside of town and into the woods. Remember when I said Anon was a bit desperate to do anything to get out of the house? Yeah, this is what that culminates to. So in the dark of the night, as a festival came to its close, I tagged along, resting peacefully in my wagon pulled by Maverick. I only came so that I could protect the two gents who I feared were being a bit haphazard in trusting this Morehouse guy for adventurous fun. Don't tell him this, but a part of me started feeling sympathy for Morehouse too. He has a desperate look in his eye, like a dude that has little to live for, a bit like myself, and yet he's too young to be feeling that way. So, I guess colour me intrigued. We followed the three people. A woman with a gnarled bow seemed to be the one catching most of Morehouse's attention. I prayed this would not be an ex-lover thing, but I should have prayed bigger. This wasn't some stupid lover's quarrel, but a witness to the very corruption I believe Cinnabar was telling me to stay vigilant about. From the distance, we watched them dig something up from the ground outside of town and hold it in the moonlight, where this object began to ominously glow. At some point, our 9 lives, wielding terrorist named Shadow, fucking bolted it, the way cats often do after taking a poopy, and she ran right for the targets. We had to hide ourselves, but once we witnessed one of them holding Shadow in one arm and opening a magical black vial in another to pour it out, we pounced. It looked as if they were about to hurt the poor cat. so I struck them with a painful spell and ordered they release the cat and don't attack back. Both Maverick and Anon sweetly moved to stand in front of me, in case this troubled group wanted to retaliate on a little old lady. Morehouse advanced on them, demanding answers to the vial's contents. But they ended up uncorking it as a smoky snake coiled out from it and started pooling itself into the ground. A half-sphere of grey unveiled around us as they ran away, and we ran in the opposite direction to escape the sphere's perimeter. I had to yank Morehouse's ear to convince him not to chase them to his own death. He seemed very frustrated, but thank God he was reasonable and escaped with us. I don't want any dead younguns on my watch. That'd be absolutely shameful of a cleric. I recognised this blight unfolding matched the descriptions Cinnabar had been warning me of. We ran as the ground behind us began to shake and something started to reach out from below. But we kept running to head back to town to save ourselves and warn the innocent people in case tonight's events initiate some sudden hostile advance. We witnessed something terrible tonight. I don't have answers to exactly what the fuck happened, but I know it's important. And I know despite Morehouse lying to us, this might be a matter of fate that brought us together. I can't let this corruption go. This is exactly the kind of thing I set out to try and confront with my last living years, however many left I have. And now, in a strange reverse Uno, I think it's me that is going to have to do some convincing of Maverick and Anon to sit and get the full truth from Morehouse and convince we work together to make things right here. I'm proud I only peed myself a little this evening, but who knows how quickly this danger will expand and reach the innocent people of Thornhaven. We must do what we can to stay vigilant. Hopefully this isn't my last diary entry as we go to face this. Godspeed and glory be to Lathander, or something like that. Whatever my god does, it better be something, because I'm working my old ass off out here now, especially as concern for Cinnabar hangs in the back of my mind. Oh, and thankfully, our pain-in-the-arse-licking cat Shadow is safely back with us too. What a troublemaker that furry one is. I hope Maverick will take more caution with her. If we survive what is to come, that is. Wish me luck, Jeremiah. Until next time.